Hello, and welcome to today's episode of the How to Choose Happiness and Freedom Show. I'm your host, Lauren Foster, happiness teacher and founder of Be Happy First. And I'm so very excited today to continue on my quest to have all of my sister authors in the best-selling book, The Art and Truth of Transformation for Women, on my show today. So I'm so delighted to have executive coach Ann Franzese with me today. Hello, Ann.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Yay, I'm happy to be here too. We're having a bit of technical issues this morning, but we are not going to let those bother us. And we're going to call it a Mercury retrograde thing and assume that this time everything's going to be just perfect. So, so I always love for my guests to tell us your story about who you are and what you love, and let our listeners get to know a little bit more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel that the story evolves, right? We evolve as we continue to progress in our lives. And right now I'm sitting in very cold, chilly Chicago. And this is a place where I've raised my family, and I moved to right after college. But a little bit about me, I grew up in the South. I grew up in North Carolina and in Tennessee. And and then I decided to spread my wings. And after college, I decided just to conquer the big city. I had one friend who was living up here. I came up to Chicago. I had a free place to stay for just a little while. And it was like, okay, well, there are going to be a lot of jobs in big cities. And so therein lies a lot of oh my goodness, the adventures, some of them happy and some of them not so happy. A lot of lonely times during that time, but also a lot of kind of pushing within and really finding out who I was as a person. And as I was, in my early days, I was more of an observer. I observed a lot. I really had dedication and determination, but I wasn't using my voice in certain ways. And so over time, going into college and doing those things and looking at the world and not thinking about judgment and a lot of those other things that we place upon ourselves, it just gave me this open feeling of, oh my goodness, I can do it. I can do it. So here we are, right? Because we move on in life and we do things, and I'm excited to talk about, just that voice and getting into that for other people and how that works. Because
Awesome.
at times I think we hide it.
Yeah. Yeah, finding our voice is a very important thing for women, especially. And so Ann's website is journeytosuccess.me. And wherever you're watching or listening, just look below, and there will be show notes with the links to everything that we talk about today, and the link to get a free consultation with Ann. So start by telling us what we could hope to discover in a consultation, and who might want to take advantage of that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, the book that we are sister authors on is The Art and Truth of Transformation for Women. And so, what I wanted to offer up is a consultation to help you during a consultation. It's a discovery call. It's really just a conversation. It's real simple. It's not over the top. It's just like we're having a conversation right here. It's just a little conversation, and it's 30 minutes, or we'll trying to see where the conversation goes, but it's to help you think about the difference between having transitions versus having a transformation. So a transition is like, okay, I'm turning 20, and then all of a sudden I'm 30. What did I do during that time, right? Where the transformation is, in my 20s, I dug in, I did all these things, I had some goals and aspirations, and I achieved something, maybe. Okay. So that, like, you went on to the next step, something changed within you. You dug into something. Maybe something was difficult or challenging or hard, or you had this goal and aspiration you wanted to do and you checked the box. It could be an easy. Transformations can be, easy, or they could be difficult. So, what I want to do is help people understand, or let them come in and talk about their goals and aspirations. And then really maybe they can decide through that conversation that, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that I had that goal, that just by talking about it, that's popping up for me right now. So it's about seeing what's going to pop up for you right now in the moment. And
Right.
that's what the consultation's about.
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges that I find in working with women is that we are so, or people, not just women, but
Mhm.
we're so ingrained in what we were taught to do, what we were expected to do, what we have seen life give us, that we lose our ability to imagine beyond that and to figure out. And so it's very important to me to help people discover how they can both be successful and happy, doing things that they love. And so many of us spend 8 or 10 or 12 hours a day doing something to pay the bills that we don't love, and that feels like an incomplete life. And so I want to delve some more into that. And of course I read your story, and you went from a sales career, which is I have a sales career as well,
Mhm.
into executive coaching. How did you get there?
Yeah, how did I get there?
Yeah.
So it's that journey to success, right? That I like to talk about. And that's exactly what I do when I work with my clients. So I think about and take some of the concepts and tools that I learned along the way. And for me, I went into sales very naive, especially a Tennessee girl who was kind of shy and quiet. But I knew I wanted marketing, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to go after it. So during that time, there were three companies that had really good sales training programs, and and those were office equipment companies. There was IBM, Xerox, and Pitney Bowes. Those are the three companies. So anyway, I went through an extensive um, group of interviews, and I landed a job with Pitney Bowes, and it was awesome. I was couldn't be prouder than anything. Right, my parents had wanted me to come home and send out resumes. I'm like, oh, who's going to get a sales job doing that? So, right, we have to step outside of our box a little bit. And sales, oh my goodness, what's so great about that is sales is something that we do every day. It's really just communicating and building a relationship with other people. So there's this stigma that we put on all kinds of words that we use in life. And sales is one of those things. So for me, just to go back to that story of how I transitioned, and with sales, I got the job, and then they told me how they're going to pay me. And I'm like, whoa, okay, 100% commission is not really what I was looking for. But I went back, I thought about it, and talked it over with my family, and ultimately we worked that out, and I was able to negotiate a higher draw. Like, who's negotiating a higher draw? But I had real bills to pay. These are not Tennessee prices. These were Chicago prices. So anyway, it was really cute. It was fun. Um, it was learning. I had to learn how to speak up for myself. I had to learn how to say, this, I just need a little bit more money, and this is why. And when you can just tell people and be truthful and honest and show who you are, it really makes a difference. And there's no reason to be hiding, and there's no reason to be shy about it. It's either I think that things are meant to be. There's a way, that an art to how we can talk about things. Just be ourselves and let people know who you are. So anyway, that sales career was, I spent my entire career there. I spent 10 years there. It was a wonderful opportunity to grow and learn. Every couple of years I had a new position. Mostly was in sales management, and I'm managing a lot of people that are older and younger, and all in between. And so I had to learn how to delegate and be resourceful from the start. And the culture was so wonderful during that time, that that everyone stepped up. Everyone stepped up to help. So I really got to learn best practices. They were, top in best practices and all the things that they did. So all of that was amazing. And then I went on, and I asked them at one point in time, there wasn't the opportunity for a promotion, but there was an opportunity, but I did want an opportunity to grow more. There's just something that I had learned from changing positions every couple of years, that, hey, I like that. I like that little stimulation from growing some more. So then I thought about, okay, graduate school. And so I had this opportunity. They said that they would sponsor me, and I went on to graduate school. And during that time, I'd gotten married, I was in school, I was working, and then my son starts to come along. So I had a lot of things where the stars were aligning in a way that Superwoman couldn't be Superwoman. Like that was just not going to cut it. Thinking about the values and what we wanted in life and our family. And I did finish graduate school. I was able to give up my job at that point in time and finish school and then go home and raise my kids for a while. And so I did that and I volunteered a lot. I became that mom. I love being a mom. I mean, I think that's my number one job. I think that all of us that are moms feel, I mean, we all have those times where we're like, oh, what did I get myself into? But we all have things that happen. So anyway, so I did that. And my former husband is in commercial real estate. And so he was at a time where he was building his practice. So I was able to help him work on going from I to team and really building a high income because I knew the aspirations that I wanted in life. Because what I was seeing, a lot of times we don't know what we want. All right. So basically, now we've gotten to the point where I definitely where, we know the things like we can see the things we don't like versus the things that we do like. Sometimes it's easier to see those things. And so by building on his business and working on things for him, in what he was doing, then I could get the life back. I didn't have my husband working all the time. I actually could have him being able to attend my kids' games and do things and be a part of our lives. So that was really great. And I leaned into a lot of volunteering. I leaned into a lot of things for my children. I really leaned into motherhood and all of those things, that can make it happen. And ultimately, I got into coaching because I've learned through my early sales career days, when you actually look back and reflect and say, what do you like? What don't you like? If you could do anything, what would you do? And I love developing people, and I love developing me like constantly. That's just something that inspires me, is to always be learning something. So I like developing that in others. It's not enough for me. I don't get a lot. I mean, yeah, I like it, but I love being able to help others reach where they want to go. And I think that you're similar. I mean, that's, we like-minded or like-minded, doing things that like you're doing right now, that
Yeah.
type of thing. So basically that's how I got into coaching, and I love my coaching clients. I love being able to see them take that journey and to really open their mind up. I think that's what coaching's all about. It's getting you to, go from not A to B, but you might go from A to X to Z to M. You go all over
Right.
because we try things out and we do things, but you have permission. It's learning about giving yourself permission. There's so much learning that goes on that really helps you to jump out. So, anyway.
So one of the things that is always interesting to me is that a lot of times, I think we talked about this before. It's hard to remember whether it was during the recording when we were talking by ourselves, but whatever. Getting things lined up with what your heart wants and who you want to be and who you want to be as a person, and how that fits into your career or the way that you earn a living and make money. And so talk to us a little bit about how you work through those sort of contrasts, if
Mhm.
and the definition of success. There's the of course, money is the currency, the energy that we use to get things in this world. So it's necessary, it's awesome, and I love money, but money does not necessarily equate to happiness.
Correct.
And so, and
Yeah. I think you pinpointed, I mean, you said it exactly. Money is a currency. And until we start looking at that, a lot of times coming out of the gate or seeing things around us, and when we're young and we don't have money, or we're thinking money has always been like a center, like someone's always talking about money, meaning when you're growing up someone's talking about money, there's not enough, or you've got so much you can do everything with. So at some point in time, the ones that don't have enough sometimes can be happier than the ones that have enough, because the ones that have enough are always complaining about the money.
Right.
So if we look at money as that currency, it's just the trade-off of this to this, so that, hey, I can have food on the table. I can go to a nice restaurant. I can, once a week or whatever it might be, or every day. It really depends. People, it's opening yourself up to choices. That's all, right? So we get to choose. And there's some people that just are, they want to keep their money. And there's a reason that they want to keep it and save their money. And we all need to save and have money. And there are different principles around that. I'm not here to tell you about how to use your money. But if you think of it in that context, that it allows us to do something. And then it goes back into the same thing. What's success and how does that work? And your job. I do want to say I have young adults right now that are coming out of college looking for jobs. It's a tough market with the pandemic and the things that are going on. It's tough not only for college students, it's tough for anyone right now. And there are people that are sitting at home right now that have been at home for a year. And wherever you're living, depending on where you're living in the country, you could have been shut down all this time. If you're living in Florida, I will tell you, I've been down to Florida a lot because life is moving and grooving down there. So it's really different. And looking at the snowstorms that we've just had. So now Texas, I have family in Texas. My niece and nephew went sledding yesterday outside of Austin. They have almost as much snow as we have in Chicago. It was unbelievable. The new pool they're putting in is covered with snow. So it's crazy. So things happen in this world. And I think that the key here, and to go back to what's success, that's one of the things I like to work with my clients on, is to help them create their success formula. And success is different for everyone, and it's different because we're all unique. And so that journey, and what kind of job should we be in, and all that type of thing, I'm just going to say that from within, I have a strong belief that we were born with a purpose. And that purpose is for us to continue to unfold. It's like the onion, and peel back the onion. And we may be going on this particular path, and we go on that path for a little bit. And then if that path's not working, if the doors keep shutting, we need to wake up and say, am I supposed to push this door open, or is this door supposed to open for me? Right? And there are differences in that. And if we're not aware of how those are, then that's a starting point, is to gain awareness. So once we can gain awareness, then we can sometimes accept that that door is supposed to be shut. That means that that door is closed, and I'm supposed to go to try door number 2 or number 3, right? And so then when we can do that, we're aware, we accept it, and then we can move into action. We actually open the door and we go. And that's what we need to try, and not be afraid that what's behind that next door. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense, and it's such an amazing philosophy. If this path is not available to you, it's only because there's a better path that
Yeah.
you're meant to walk on past that
Mhm.
opportunity, because a better opportunity lies right ahead. And to have the feeling that, okay, that's all right, because something better is coming. And in this way is how we deal with, quote, failure, which, in my mind, there's no such thing. There's
Right.
just, you've just discovered one way that something can't be done, right?
Right. When you go try another.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Right.
So
Oh, mhm.
talk to me about how you would advise people who they don't love what they're doing, but they can't conceive of a way that they could make a living. I'm a really good example. Not really, but in the past,
Sure.
I still have a sales career. That's how my bills get paid. I've been in advertising sales most of my life,
Mhm.
and I don't hate it. It's a good product. I like my
Mhm.
clients. It's fine. It's a very good way to earn a living, but it's
Right.
my heart.
Right.
My heart is the book that I'm working on, and the
Mhm.
coaching programs that I'm working on, and those are things that if I won the lottery and had billions of dollars, I would continue to do that. So
Mhm.
that to me is the perfect alignment, and I'm absolutely fine with exploring how that path goes and exactly what the specifics of how that unfold.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
but what would you say to me if I couldn't conceive of that? If I said, this is what I know how to do, this is how I make my
mhm,
living, but this is not what I want to do. How
mhm,
coach me to figuring out
mhm.
what it is that you really want to do and turning that into the way that you make your way in the world.
Sure, sure. So I might ask you, you know, how do you, what's most important to you?
Said that there was a mention on your website as I was researching and preparing for the show about curiosity
Yeah.
and asking the questions about
Mhm,
what what if you could spend your time doing anything you wanted to do,
mhm,
how would you spend it? Yeah,
mhm.
that's a
Right.
perfect and amazing start.
Mhm.
Um,
And if I can parlay on that a little bit,
Absolutely.
exactly. Sometimes, I mean, of course, a coaching session we're going to go through, and I do believe the answers are all within. We're still that onion to peel back,
Mhm.
and then when you can have that aha of diving deeper and going, oh, okay, that does feel good. That feels good. That's what I then I'd like to do this next. Sometimes it's very simple. It's a very simple thing because it's about each week going into action in a different way. Not, it doesn't even have to be a different way. You may be working on the same thing, but with what you just said, right? You are paralleling something. What you're doing is, you know, that you need to get the bills paid. That's responsibility, right? And you know that you love to um, connect with other people and to bring out the voices of others and let others be seen. And you like to be that liaison, that facilitator for that. And you know in your heart that you're getting that. So in life, I believe that. I believe in the plan. There's a study that's put out, and we probably, some people might know about it and some people might not know about it, but it's the wheel of life. And that wheel of life talks about 9 major segments in our lives: our personal, like social, our personal lives and our family, our, um, our finances, like our money, our health. There are all these segments in our life. And ultimately, like a juggler, it would be nice if that wheel was full all the time and it could roll, right? But the simple exercise is to just take that wheel and highlight what's working, get rate each segment 0 to 10, and then you look to see where the tire might be flat. Okay, now just because the tire's flat in a certain area, career, let's say, okay, maybe it's flat in career, it doesn't mean that you might not even want to start on career. You may want to start on your health first before you go to career. But it's highlighting for you, oh, I need to have intentional focus on these aspects, because if I can pull up a little bit at a time around that wheel, ultimately that creates greater happiness and joy. So what you're doing is you're pulling up, you're saying, okay, I need to do this, right? I have bills to pay and I want certain things.
Right.
You're paying the bills because you want certain things,
Right.
right? And and then that's fine, and it's perfectly fine. And then you want that other piece of it for fulfillment. Now that could be the balance. That could be a good balance for you that works. And then you might find that as you go along this journey, there are different people that you meet, different things that you're learning, and you might be able to monetize for that make an impact type of thing, right?
Right.
But right now, it's, how is it serving you today? How does it make you feel today when you do this?
I I love my life. I am a happiness teacher, and I mean, our power is all in this moment.
Mhm,
There's I don't have regrets. I know that I'll never get it done and I can't get it wrong. And
mhm,
so I'm perfectly happy with, watching the journey unfold.
mhm,
But I taught myself over a long period of time to
mhm.
have that mindset, and that's not the norm. That's not the way I was 20 years ago. And that's not the way my students and clients are, nor yours.
Mhm.
That sometimes life can feel like such a struggle,
Yes.
especially when there is this thing of money that
Mhm.
when there's not enough, it's very easy to have stress about that and have anxiety about that. And
Right.
yeah.
Well, the stress and anxiety, all of those things. Now, here's the one thing I wanted to mention to the youngsters, or even the ones that are, just like what we're doing. It comes to a point, and I understand that too. But when I was looking for that first sales job, and I wrote a little bit about it in the chapter of the book, I highlighted it. But when I came out, I didn't have any experience. So I went to places and they're like, "What's your experience?" "I don't have any." "Well, go get some and come back." Well, that's easier said than done, right? So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? I mean, moving around and around. And so to find the job that I found, because I didn't really have any connections in Chicago, I looked in the paper. That's how I found the interviews. But my first job, I needed something right away. And that job, I thought I wanted hotel sales. I thought I wanted to be a flight attendant, actually. And I couldn't do that because my eyes didn't meet. That was the criteria, is that I wear contacts back then. You couldn't wear contacts back then. So that's a door that closed on me, right?
So
So it
the
closed.
interesting side note, I also wanted to be a flight attendant, but I wasn't tall enough. So
Right, there you go. See? So it's this like, okay, well, they're telling me I can't do that, but it's not they're telling me I can't do it. That's okay. I didn't look at it as I'm pushing my way. No, I'm just going to see what else unfolds. So I came up, and in order to find just my part-time job, I saw an ad. I was thinking, how can I go around the box? This is why I tell a lot of people to be an ant. Think like an ant. An ant, if it can't get to where it wants to go, right? It goes up and over, it goes up and around, it goes wherever it can go. So sometimes we need to do that. And that's what I did. I stood in line because I knew that they were hiring people, service people for the hotel, the new hotel reopening. So I went down there in my business suit and I just stood in line with the other people that were looking for ballet jobs and different things like that. And so I stood there and waited until I could get to the right people. And that's how I actually was able to get a little bit of money before I could get to my next thing a few weeks later. But that's what I would say to people, is that kind of have an idea, press forward on it a little. And young people coming out with a job, get some experience by just whatever it might be. Starbucks is a great place to be able to meet people, have a little social life, and do things. Whether it's, well, bartending, everything's shut down. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can't do, but there are ways. You might take a job that you don't love, but there's something to learn in every job. So that's a big takeaway, is that there's something to learn everywhere, and there's something to learn from a boss that you don't really like. There are takeaways, because one day if you aspire to be the boss, you'll know what not to do.
right.
So I always say, just get your foot somewhere, but don't stay if it's not working, but just get enough experience so that you can shift out. But keep thinking and dreaming and learning during this time of COVID. If anything, all these things are online. People are offering so much free stuff to look at and do. And just so kind of step outside your box.
Right.
But,
But we like to say, step to the edge of the light you can see. And then
mhm.
once you're there, you can drive all the way across the country, only being able to see a little bit in front of you. But once you move forward, then you'll be able to see more and see
Yeah,
different. Yeah.
and that's the part that's hard for people, the move forward. All right. It is very hard. And that's one of the things I just wanted to highlight today, was this concept of moving outside your comfort zone, right? And so a lot of times people don't understand. The easiest way for me to kind of show you this, right, is if we think of knowing that the comfort zone is a place that we reside because it's safe and it feels good. All right. And the comfort zone is a good place to be. We don't want to always be anxious or on edge, or frustrated, or all of those things. So sometimes we hide out in, if I call it the circle of the comfort zone, we hide out in the circle because it feels cozy, it feels good, right? So, but sometimes when we get inside that circle, let's think of the pandemic now. I don't know what you think of yourself and what you did when the pandemic first started. Like, there's unknown, uncertainty, where we don't know if we can go outside or come inside. We don't know, what will happen to us. That we didn't know about masks. We just didn't know a lot about what we should be doing. So some people stayed in. I mean, most people stayed in. We stayed in. What are we doing? I'm thinking a lot of people, we binged on Netflix, we binged on lots of TV or lots of other things. We dove into work in a different way. It was very difficult for students that transition from going from classes to online. Very, very difficult because some are so used to that social connection. And now the universities didn't know how to handle the online. I was thinking they needed to follow like Phoenix Learning Center because they've been doing it. Look for the guys that have been doing it, right? So there's all kinds of things. So when this stuff happens to you, we have to think, and that's a prime example. How did I react to the unknown? What was my risk tolerance there? Okay. Was I risk tolerant or risk adverse? And that, if we were on a sliding scale of 0 to 10 about how tolerant we are of risk, will we take a risk being a 10, or will we risk adverse be a 1? Right? We have to think of where we lie on that. So in a comfort zone, let's take a circle, if it were the circle, and put yourself as a dot in the middle. Okay. So to break through the comfort zone, all right, what will happen is we get complacent, we could get stagnant, we could even get bored. Finally, when we get bored enough, we say, okay, enough's enough, right? I got to get out of here. I got to open the front door and I got to walk outside. So the dot is going to the edge of the circle. You just draw that line. What do you do when you get to that line? Do you go, or do you say, I don't know? And that's going to depend on what's on the other side. But it really is not even depending on what's on the other side. It depends on what you think is on the other side. Right. So it's our mind that gets in the way. So if we have experienced every time we cross the line, okay, try to push through the door or something, we experience pushback. So we're like, I can't do that. I'm afraid to because it hurts, right? Or if we go to the edge of the line and we've been successful pushing through it, like we on the other side, we know, hey, there's happiness on the other side. Woo, it's exciting over there. There's adventure. It might be the Wild West, but I'm going to get out there and go to it. That is when we can break through the comfort zone. Okay. And there are many reasons to be able to do that. And I just touched on those, being able to take risks, right? So when you can take risks, when you push yourself outside, you're not just sitting there. You're not sitting on the couch. You're learning more about you. You're learning to say, how did that feel for me when I went over? Wow. Oh, what was it like? Kind of an amusement park ride. Did that one, like spinny rides, work for me? Roller coasters don't. Okay. So how did I feel? How do you feel when that happens? And I think that that's what's interesting. So that's one of the reasons, is that we can then dive into seeing who we are a little more and then become more confident because we pushed over, right? So we can become more confident. And then there's that learning on the other side. Now we have to, now it can be work, but is it fun work? Do we get to play there? Is it something different and new? And we have to practice. If our mind is not taking us to that new and different, we need to practice that by just taking little steps, like try a new food that week, or try a new direction, like change your route somewhere of where you're going. Instead of going to the grocery store this way, try another way and see what you see out there. Do you follow me?
Yes, little small things like that, and
Little
proving to
small things.
yourself that stepping over that line out of your comfort zone is not going to kill you.
Right.
You're probably going to survive and be better for it and be changed
Mhm.
for it.
Yeah. Now jumping out of a plane, that's a little, I'm risk adverse to that. Now, some people, when they go through a major event in their life, they say, what the heck? I always wanted to do this. I don't have any responsibilities and I'm off. And I
Right.
go, oh, that still doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
So I'm not saying
that's on my list.
that is on your list.
Yeah. I want to jump out of a plane.
Oh, well, I think you can go into one of those round tanks. That might be better and feel like you're jumping out of a plane.
I've done that before. That in Gatlinburg.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Great.
That,
Well, so then, yeah, that gives you that, hey, that's okay. That's a good feeling, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good. So those are things. I mean, I think that going outside your comfort zone, it's been proven that then when you move, this is some of the things that I talk about with my clients too. We talk about how our brain works with our thoughts and emotions. And and there has been scientific research that shows that there is a connection between our heart and our brain, and there's the brain and the heart. So they're all intertwining, talking to themselves. So how we feel is what we're telling our brain. And then the brain reacts in one of two ways. And so if we feel um they're like, our energy can be like negative or positive. That's really a mild way to put it. But the technical words are catabolic, meaning bad energy or low energy, and anabolic, meaning good energy working for us, and the other energy, catabolic, is working against us. So things that work against us are fear and anger and frustration, but we need them sometimes. Okay, we need them to protect us, because that gut feeling that we go, ooh, that doesn't feel safe, then listen, right? But it also, we have to know, when does it hold us back? So we can control how we feel once we're more aware of, when this happens, this is how I tend to respond. Do I need to respond that way? Or could I respond in a different way? And if we learn to respond in the way that helps us, all of a sudden, then we can open up that creativity and the innovation and the ability to say, oh, I can get through that line. That's it. I want to go see what's over there. It might be not what I want, but it's better than staying where I am.
Back to
Makes
the
sense?
basics of choices. And
Yeah.
the flip side of the comfort zone thing is that a lot of times our comfort zone is really not the best place for us.
Hmm.
That, we're not in a job that we love, we're not in a relationship that we love, but it's like the devil we know is
Yeah.
better than exploring out and seeing, well, it might be worse out there, but being able to change your thinking to go, but what if it's better?
Yeah.
And
What if
being
it's
able,
better?
yeah.
And it goes back to that purpose again.
Mhm.
Okay. We are designed for a purpose. And so that's when I talk about the doors that shut and the doors that are open.
Mhm.
If we are not able to move outside of our comfort zone, that little bit, that little bit of adrenaline that takes us over there, we don't want to be stress, frustration, but a
Right.
little bit. If we're not able to move out and try things, then we don't really get to know who we are, that uniqueness that's inside. We will not find, that, here I was able to move this way in my career and then move this way in my career. And what was the common denominator I kept coming back to? Connecting with people and developing them,
Yeah.
really inspiring others, right? And there's so many different ways that you can do it. But I would never in my ever have thought that I would have gone after and written a book.
Mhm.
So to go towards that book again, is that was just a place to find a voice. I I joined Publishing You and the other authors because I wanted to see what would it be like to write a book. And that was a healing period for me too, to do these things. When I went into coach training, it was a healing period for me, to go through that type of understanding, that I can be in control of my emotions. I can understand how other people are feeling. And it gives us that opportunity to bring something out. So not only is it elevating what we're doing. I mean, how much growth did you get from the book?
A
From
lot. So it's and it just keeps happening, all of the interactions that come about with my sister authors, and
Mhm.
yeah, that's a continuing journey. That
Right.
was just a wonderful catalyst into a new phase of life.
It's a connectivity
Mhm.
that we always have and need, and we as humans, beings, we need we need connectivity. We need that. That's just part of our makeup.
Yeah.
And some might think we don't need it. Oh, I don't need those people, but we do need people.
We do. We're social animals. And the other thing about the book is that it took a lot of courage to, and for myself and for a lot of the other women in the story, to tell very vulnerable stories, and very, put ourselves in a very exposed place by sharing these stories of transformation, which, when you take a step in courage, that's really a great opportunity for growth and for discovering other facets and revealing other facets of yourself.
Absolutely. And then that's what's wonderful. There are many, many stories in the book that someone could relate to and might just give them that courage to say, she did it, I can too.
That's exactly
Right?
right. Yeah. Yeah. So we are so absolutely and totally unique, but we are absolutely not alone in
Right.
this journey.
Right.
Awesome.
That's right.
Okay, well, I think that the time's been kind of fragmented, but it feels like about the right length of time. And say hello to Romeo, everybody.
Hi,
Uh,
Romeo.
Is there, again, Anne is offering a free consultation to our listeners. We'll provide the link for you to go and take advantage of that. And, th- give it a try and see what you can learn about what opportunities are out there for you and what choices you can make to improve your life. Is there anything else that you wanted to add before we wrap it up, Anne? So that's a little bit of timing. Anne's been having internet issues all day, and so we have lost her, but it was time to say goodbye anyway. I'm going to be back with you next week with another great interview. In the meantime, remember that happiness is a choice, and you can always choose to be happy first. I'll see you next week.